who needs to be visited in the hospital, making sure that the shut-ins are visited on a regular basis. And she was doing that, and I'm going to be taking over that. So that will be kind of an additional thing on my plate. And then the other thing that I have missed doing for a long time, haven't done it in a while, and that is doing more teaching, particularly in adult education. So I know Pastor Jen had some Bible studies she was doing. I envied her for doing that because I love teaching as well. So I am hoping to do more of that. Now, in order to clear some space to do those two things, I have shared with the council that I'm going to kind of step back out of the CEO role, that is some of the financial and administrative things that I've been really involved with, and largely lately that has been capital campaign and renovation. So we have a kind of a listing of roles and responsibilities, and we're going to kind of have the council be primarily responsible for more of the administrative and financial aspects. Pastor Anna will continue to have youth and confirmation as her two main priorities, but the thing that she will be taking on more of will be kind of exclusive oversight of two areas. One is outreach, which she's been doing to some degree with sharing, not to some degree, she's been doing a lot with that, but sharing some of that responsibility with Pastor Jen, and then also welcome and communication. Pastor Anna does a terrific job of doing the social media part of that now and some other areas, and she's been working with Roy Schroeder very closely in that area of welcome and communication. And so she will be taking over all of those responsibilities, and that is just pastoral oversight of that. So that's kind of the way it will look. I've had people ask, is that going to be, are we going to be able to get it all done? And my response is, I'll let you know. I hope that you feel like you have two capable, effective pastors, and I believe that we will certainly do our best, and I think we can do what needs to be done with pastoral leadership. A couple of other things that I hope will be high priorities for not just for me, but for this congregation in the coming year. One is the capital campaign was successful not only because we raised the money we need, or at least pledges for that, but I think we also learned a lot going through that process. We learned a lot about how to be a better church, how to do things in a better way. And what I'm hoping is that that our leadership will really take stock of what we learned from the campaign and translate what we learned into some of the other areas of our ministry. So I hope that we will do that. And then kind of the obvious thing that is going to take a lot of time and effort this coming year is the renovation. And it is likely to be disruptive. We don't know how it's going to be disruptive, but you can't do $2 million worth of work on your building without it being disruptive. And so we will, the pastors and council will be working hard to figure out how the best way is to do that. Not only to move forward in terms of design and construction, but also managing the inconveniences that will come with regard to that. We have been asked a lot of questions about what that's going to look like. Are we going to have to worship someplace else? Or are we going to have to hold Sunday school someplace else? And the answer is we don't know yet. All we know is we are likely to be disrupted. And we are hoping that it won't be too long before we will be able to have at least a tentative time frame. And as you well know, emphasis on the tentative. If you've ever built anything, if you've ever worked on some sort of construction, it never happens the way you think it's going to happen. So anyway, that's going to be a big deal for us. And one of the critical things for us is not to stop all of our other ministry programs and areas simply because we've been disrupted because of construction. As I said in my report, while the building part of it is really important, and I think you've heard me say this before, that this is going to be really transformational for this congregation, not only in terms of what we do inward, but the way in which we are seen by the outside community. So it will be transformational. But the building is only part of what we are and what we do. So I hope that we will keep in mind the other less tangible parts of our ministry. So that's kind of my quick and easy thing. Am I responsible for the updates on the next thing on the agenda? I am? Okay. All right.
We can do it together if you would like.
I was afraid of that, yes. Well, in terms of the campaign, the news is good. We raised nearly $2 million. I have, maybe you've heard me say that I still have hope that we're going to get to the $2 million mark. We still have some gifts out there. So, just as soon as Tom writes his check, we ought to be at $2 million.
There you go.
All right? Okay, Tom, maybe not Tom. So anyway, so I think there's going to be an opportunity for that. In any event, you've heard me say that I'm excited about that. All right. Thank you. Not close enough. That's right. Where was I? Okay, so yeah, I think we're gonna do that.
Back on track now.
That's right. But we're not finished. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of work that has to be done to follow up. All of you who so generously made pledges, we hope that you will make good on those pledges. We assume that you will, we also know that it's a 3-year period, and we'll be having new members coming in, and there may be additional gifts as new people come in. There's a lot of follow-up that has to be done. Our consultants, Walsh and Associates, have given us a great organizational framework for a plan, a design for how we follow up with folks. We'll be doing things like once a year. About this time, once a year, we'll have a little celebration of where we've been and how much we've received and what we've been able to do with those gifts in our ministry and with our building. We will also be revisiting the campaign theme from time to time. So anyway, so there's a lot that has to be done, and we are still trying to work out how that's going to happen. The campaign cabinet, and I'm going to have you guys stand if you are on the campaign cabinet. Please stand if you would. Please stand. Don't be bashful. There you go. And if you worked on the campaign staff, would you please stand?
Come on, there's a lot of people.
One of the things that we told the campaign cabinet when they were recruited was your job, at least the first part of your job, would end in January, but you either have to agree to continue on the cabinet for the follow-up work, or you have to find your replacement. So that's fair warning that if you see any of those folks, they say they want to talk to you, I'd avoid them if I were you. So anyway, the campaign, the work on the campaign has not finished. Any other questions about the campaign? Any other questions about that?
I guess more about construction.
Yep, I'll say, and I just want to say a word about the, yes.
So are we continuing to try to get to our ultimate goal? I mean, I feel like that ended, but are we still trying to get to 2.2 or whatever to do everything?
The actual, oh, I'm sorry. The question is, are we going to continue to work toward getting to our ultimate goal, which was 2.6 million? And the answer is sort of. There's not an active, we're not actively trying to solicit additional pledges other than as people come in.
That's for questions.
Okay, great. Yeah, right. Yeah, and I think that there are going to be opportunities throughout the 3-year period for all of us. So, yeah. Yes?
Does that mean, it was broken down in that pamphlet?
The mic.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Mike.
It was broken down in that pamphlet saying, okay, if we get to 2 million, we're going to do this. If we get to 2.6 million, we're going to do this.
Yes.
Does now council make a decision on, hey, do we have the ability maybe to take on some debt to do everything in there? Or is that something we'll make decisions as we go along?
Okay, so that's the renovation question, and let me mention to where we are with that. Yes, the council will make a determination of authorizing Archon, our architects, as to what to put in the plan for now. Okay, so for example, we've raised $2 million, and so the council will be determining which of those projects, and it's pretty much, we've already sort of figured that out, and we will authorize them to move forward with the design based on those things and based on that amount. Okay, but that's just the design part of it. Now, there will be a group working, and what have we called it, Paul? We have called it the
Ad hoc Renovation
Financing Task Force. And what they have been, that sounds like you need to get paid for it. That's right, yeah. So what that group is going to do is they're going to take a look at how do we finance this, okay? How's the cash flow going to work? How do we, where do we go to get a construction loan? And what is the schedule of money coming in from the pledges promised and that sort of thing? They're going to look at that whole financing piece, and a second question they're going to ask or going to explore is, what is the desirability and affordability of incurring some debt to do more than what we have raised the money to do? Okay, so do we take our $2 million and then do we borrow another $600,000? Well, we don't know. But that's what that group is going to do. That group is, raise your hand. There are 4 of you, right?
Here, I can tell them who's on that.
Yeah.
You got Laura Pisek.
Laura
Where is
Pesek.
she? There she is.
Yep.
You got Sherry Richards.
Sherry,
We got Paul Remington.
Paul Remington,
Chuck Sutton.
Chuck Sutton,
And Pastor Ron.
And Pastor Ron, right. Yeah, so, so they will be exploring those questions.
But any decision has to be approved by the membership.
That's right, yes. And their job is to make recommendations to the council, and before any contracts are signed or any mortgages signed, any loans taken out, the congregation would have to approve that. And did I say also sign any construction contracts? So you will have final say-so in that. But that group is kind of an advisory group to the council, then the council will hear their recommendations and make a recommendation to you. Yes, sir.
All right, I think there are two projects that are smaller projects related to sanctions. If I remember correctly, there are two projects related to the sanctuary that have already been earmarked.
That's right.
Right.
Yes. There's a special gift that has been given for sound system, and one given for projection. Yes, yes. Okay, any other questions about the renovation and where we're headed with that and how all that's going to happen?
Ron, why don't you tell them the next step is to meet with the city?
Yes, the next step is the architects are working to get the permitting, the permits, and I don't know, all the variances and whatever that legal stuff is you have to do before you can paint your back door here in Elmhurst. No, just kidding. I'm glad they do a good job of all that. But a lot of permitting and that sort of thing, and that's what they are currently doing. Trying to let the city of Elmhurst know what the scope of our project is, mostly with regard to the outside, and the first,
The elevator.
I'm sorry?
There are three things for the conditional use permit that we are going to try. We're going to meet with Elmhurst on February 4th and meet with that committee. And basically, it's the elevator, it's the entrances and the canopies that are going to go over the top that we want, and then the parking lot, of course. And that's what Archon is working on right now.
Right. As you probably know, the two big issues are how much permeable ground there is, and we are already, matter of fact, I think I saw in the news, somebody just had to go to court to be 31% instead of 30%. Yeah, that was a scary news report. But anyway, we are slightly over the 30%. And so we're going to have a variance for that. We're kind of giving into, we're giving back some and taking some. The elevator, as it is now proposed, would be outside, which means that it uses up some of that permeable space, permeable ground. So anyway, water management and water runoff, that's obviously a big one. And then the other is the number of parking spaces we have, which everybody knows is not enough. The current design would increase it a little bit, but not nearly enough. One of the things that our architects are providing to the city is the fact that we have, at least at this point, informal agreements with Algram Funeral Home and the school to use their parking. And just as a piece of information, we've heard that the preliminary design for the new school has the parking on this side, on our side, and the playground on the other side. So that's going to work to our favor if it ends up working that way. And our architects tell us that the city is going to like that, that's going to help us. Okay? Yes.
Sure, Mark.
Just about the timing, I know when we were doing the whole campaign, we kept telling people, it looks like summer will start. And then the town hall meeting the other night, I kind of was put back by things I heard, being like, oh, we can't control that. But I'd like to how can we make our own luck in this whole thing? Like, how can we make sure we're doing everything diligently so that we can, it seems like it'd be really nice to use the summer months when all the groups aren't meeting here.
Yeah. Well, what I would say is that we really are, I mean, we are, we're really pushing forward the architects, Chip and I.
Archon, yeah.